Welcome to our Calls in Action STS System Charting Package video. That was an alert going off as we're loading some symbols to discuss and look at into our charting package for end of day reports. We're going to look at some charts that came in during the day, some of which we traded, others we pointed out the setups in the trade room and shared out on Twitter on our private feed. Some of the traders in the trade room acted on some of the setups we had, and some they didn't, and some I did, and some I didn't. You find things and then you get distracted and you don't always get back to them in time. But all in all, it works out for a great day for everybody. So let's see what we found today. You're going to be looking at a lot of charts that came off our STS Pivot System charting package. It's a 7-day trial offer, money back guarantee. Trigger prices right on the charts. Day traders, swing traders, and option traders. Easy to follow charts. We got the scanners pre-built. All you have to do is load in your symbols. We teach you how to do that. We teach you what to expect the chart to do as it comes down through the lines, and then revisit and trigger the sell. And the price is right on the chart. Trigger prices on your charts, pre-built scanner, 7-day money back guarantee. This is our charting platform with just not showing any charts with the normal candles. You know what they look like. We're just showing our pivot system and the alerts that trigger you off, and you go over to your 5-minute, 2-minute, whatever you like to trade and make your trades. This was Goldman Sachs today in the afternoon on the 25 factor, gave the rollover trigger right here, and I'll see if we can get this a little bit bigger where you can see what it was price wise. It's 257.17, a little box that appears down in the corners of the charts, and we'll show you one in a moment. We'll see one. It'll show you the price that it's going to take to go green zone to red zone, and it triggered it at 257.17. When it triggered, the box goes away and the line plots immediately where the trigger was, and then you got that on your chart until it makes a reversal. When it goes and turns from red back to green, it'll replot that one. The plot just moves forward on the last break. There's tutorial videos out there for our subscribers on how to use this system, on what all these mean and how to read them and so forth, and you're welcome to watch those as well on the YouTube channel. They're for public viewing. If you understand how our charts work, you might be interested in them, so we make them for the public as well. And we want you to study before you come and want to subscribe, because when you do your 7-day trial, we want you to already have watched the videos and know what to expect. This was Goldman where it had ran up. I use it over here. I've got this plotted over a 5-minute chart, and I have my 50, my big trend at the bottom, and then I have my 25 up here overlaid on a 5-minute chart. And my algo line, I can see when I'm plotting these support and resistance lines off that 5-minute chart. This was probably some lows in the last few days where it bounced. That's why they're pink. I use green and pink lines, and the pinks are where it bounced before, and the greens are where it ran up and fell before. And this stock ran up into a recent bounce spot, and that's right where it fell on this upswing, which ran from about 257 to 259. This is a big run up. First of all, when this broke up right here on the 25 and the 50 at the same time. Up here I'm plotted in on a 25 factor on our plot system, and down here I'm plotted in on a 50 factor. So these are two different lines. Bigger deal down here than it is up here. This broke right here at about 258. It ran all the way to 259.39. It did that very quickly, and as the market was breaking, that all took place from 120 to 140 in 20 minutes. So when that market got that little surge, well, this ran right into resistance. That's why I like to have this chart open, and then I know where I'm running into, plan my exit. That's what that's all about. You can switch this chart over to a 10-minute if you want to. It just replots the support and resistance lines on different time frames. It can be moved to a 15-minute even, or a 60, or a 30. May not have to see the line doesn't show up on the 30 minutes, so that means this was a shorter span. I knew by being on the 5-minute, it was a shorter time frame, last several days, place it had bounced. So that's just one of the features how we can do that in the charting package. This is the 25. This is the same exact thing that's plotted right here. That's why you see the same price. It has the what we were looking at a moment ago, the actual 257.17 break price is also plotted right there on the chart. You can have the candles and you can see it on a 5-minute chart, which would be something similar to this, where you can see the candles and the graphs running together. Again, that's another one. You can change the time frame to 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, whatever you want to put it on. I keep it right here. So this was just one of the trades that's set up today. We can run trends on various items, and we'll be doing this in this video. Right now everything's downtrending, so there ain't a lot of point in taking a look at this chart. If it says downtrending in the 100 column and uptrending in the 50, it's in a slight bounce from a previous sell-off. We can click on that and just show you what that means, and we'll be looking at some more charts when this means more to us. This is our bull and bear zone you see on our daily charts. If I got two blue ones, one plus and one minus, I'm in that's the momentum part of that trade. I show you the yellow lines on the grids that you're used to seeing. This is a representation of the yellow lines, but it's on a 15-minute chart. This is what I scan. I scan the 15s and the 30s for the bull and bear breaks, but I make it lined up with what's already trending. So if I can take a stock that's trending down or trending up, and I can find that consolidation break in the direction of the prevailing trend, that's what I want to do. Now this stock, the reason it showed, we looked at it because it shows a uptrending 50 and it was a downtrending 100. So we can see how that's setting up. I'm looking at it because it's different. I want to know what's going on. And we're on the 25 here. This is very choppy for this little stock. We're going to switch this over to our 50 tab. We got our 50 running up, and up here we've got a 25, a 50, and a 100. So now I'm looking at my 50 that's in an uptrend. It's broke up. This stock had been in this downtrend. It turned on back on February the 20th, tried to break out, went sideways, and we re-quoted it here on March the 6th in a long zone at $25 and looks like about 5 cents. This stock went to 28 since then. Now, it's been a long period of time. It's a slow stock, slower mover. If you're a swing trader, that's what you're looking for. This downtrend that was so prevalent that started, we triggered this at a $29 short back in December, and it went all the way to $22 by February the 8th. And then when this turned over, you could even take a shorter time frame than that, probably a 25, and see what happened way back there along that time and for your stop. But right here, it's on the way down. It keeps respecting the line. That's what you want to do. And so this was the bigger trend, and now that the 50's been rising, it's pulling back. What we expect to happen here when it pulls back to this level is for this to retrace. So if it holds here and it does a retrace, this retrace alert will be right here, green zone retrace. So when it retraces, when it gets all the way down here, it's going to give a break, and it may be a lower price than this, or maybe even the same price it is presently, but it will give that price right in this box for the reversal trigger. Well, that looks like it's going to coincide with this. What happens when we break a downtrend and then we get the pullback and then the bounce? So if this pulls back, it's going to coincide with this pulling back a little bit more, and then we'll get that break back up. So when this happens, we're going to get this retracement, and this one's going to give you the long on the bigger trend. This is setting up pretty nicely for swing trader. It's not a day trading stop. This video is being brought to you by STS Pivot System Charting Package for day traders, swing traders, and option traders. Easy to follow charts and scanners, trigger prices right on the charts, on the setups. We teach 2 trades long and 2 trades short. That's all. It's that simple. Just like you see on this chart, the trigger price for this trade was in the corner over here from this point on, with this price posted not to take it up here, and it did not trigger, but it wasn't posted as a trigger anyway. Came back. This is a classic, beautiful setup. Breaks right here. 167.26 was our trigger price. And we developed these same lines where you can overlay them on your shorter term charts. This is a 2-minute. By not taking that trade early when it went up here to 167.11, you avoided this 30-something minute pause here. It's not quite 30, about 15 minutes. This was a 60-something cent pullback by waiting on our trigger price to get in the trade here. And we were predicting that trigger price. This didn't go green until this happened. You have that up arrow where we're showing the price to go long at, and as soon as it triggers, it immediately gives a go short because it's so close to flipping back over. So that's exactly where it occurred, was right here. And that is how simple that package is to use. Trigger prices right on your charts. Got a 7-day free trial offer, 10-day money back guarantee. Once you get this set up, it's $69 a month. And we're extending as a courtesy, if you take this package, full access to the website, including the trade room if you want to come in and out of there as well. It's not part of the charting package, but it's an offer we're letting you come in if you want to. And I mentioned this in a video about a week ago that we were going to do this. Any previous member to Day Trader Setups from day one ever paid $1 to us, this $69 fee is waived. You can come in and try the 7-day trial, no outlay of cash whatsoever. If you decide you want to go with this package, then you can sign up. Just a quick look at Facebook. I want to show you some more on these resistance lines. This was actually yesterday on the 21st when it broke out and made that $7 run. It went green as it did this little zigzag. On the big time frame, it already tried to go green one time. Thought it was going to pull back more than it did, but this was a smaller time frame. This is what I was trading. It's a 25. Excuse me, that's the 100 factor. You see how much this moved. It's enough to trigger the 100 factor when it broke through it about right here, around 167. This was actually the 25 factor. Today, it only goes back 100 bars. It gave that pretty good run early and then gave the sell-off. We actually traded Facebook earlier than this and got this nice, we got a really nice run out of Facebook today. I can't remember exactly when we did trade it. I got some more of the charts that I sent to the room. We'll probably run across those in a minute. This was on the 50. This was yesterday. That was the big break yesterday. We got Facebook involved in this part of this trend today. Off a smaller factor on the 25, it triggered down in here somewhere, and we got this big run up. What I want to show you is overlaying on this chart. This is a 60-minute chart, so this is some very long-term support for Facebook. Going back way back, a lot of time frame here, okay? Many days, weeks. And so this, as it was trying to go up today, it ran into old support, became new resistance. So we're in this trade, and we know we're hitting resistance, and we get out. And then it rolled over and did the sell-off in the afternoon with the market. We didn't even try to trade it at that time. Some of the guys may have, I did not. We'll run through some charts that I actually tweeted out on the Twitter. Got a private Twitter feed. I can tweet stuff off one computer. It's over here instantly. I can pop it right up in our trade room where I show you these ES minis and so forth. We may let our subscribers to the chart package start following over here. Right now it's just me, so I can use it to send private stuff from one room to the other. This was Caterpillar late in the day. We put a bunch of charts out on it, but this is where on the small factor, when the market was coming down, it had already been running down. It gave that little bounce, and we saw that the market was fixing to go in that big sell-off at 2 o'clock as AD lines rolled over. You know, we show them a lot of AD lines. Caterpillar triggered at the top at 157.17, 151.17, 206. It ran $3 down here to $148, and we used this small as our stop. And as it kept pivoting into it, it kept holding it. It didn't ever go far enough to turn it green. Kind of thought it was going to lose it right here, but it didn't, and it just kept on selling. So we got that posted in the room. I'm sure some of the guys in there got that. I did not. I was involved in an Amgen trade, and we'll look at that. We run across it. This was Amgen had been a huge sell-off. This was the last trade. This was on the 50. This was yesterday. This had already been in a downtrend, and it was choppy all day on the 21st. It chopped around, chopped around, chopped around. Late day, it gave a trigger for a short at 182.10. It chopped around a long time now this morning, and then this thing finally broke down and ended up selling off today all the way down to 177, and then gave a huge bounce of $2 and then another $1.50 down. I traded this last part, was the last part we traded at the end of the day. Got that in the trade room as the market was selling. That's where I ended up at, stood on Caterpillar, but I did post Caterpillar in the room. This might have been the shorter picture. Yeah, this was using the 10 for that setup on that last sell-off as it had run back up on that run-up. I said, I don't believe it's going to keep going up, because I was looking at the bigger time frame charts, and which was this. I was looking at this right here. I'm looking at this big time frame chart. It's running up on. I said, Amgen's going to roll over, so I'm taking this red zone retracement alert to the downside. I'm tweaking it in and using the smaller time frame to make the entry. I called this in the room before it went off. 178.72 is where the trigger was. I think I had the call just below that at like 65 cents, and we got a great run out of that. It went all the way down to 177. I came out right here, but I got this nice $2 move, and then it ran some more. I didn't try to get back in it with the market like it was. I take that back. I did not stop out right here. I made it to the bottom and exited into a support resistance line. I almost stopped out right here. I had my stop really tight. I was watching my little alert system up here. It's going to tell me if it goes any higher what my next algo is going to be, and I had my stop 3 cents above that next algo, or set it the next algo, and it went within 3 cents of it. So I got lucky and didn't stop out and ended up getting this another flush down for another 75 or 80 cents. This is where we brought to attention early in the morning the Caterpillar big time frame break on the 50. It had been uptrending yesterday in the market, and so yesterday morning it gave a nice trade entry right around here around 153.50 and gave a $2.50 run yesterday. Well, today it came down and triggered at 154.30, 9:30 a.m. first thing, and it sold down really fast. There's no way to trade that, but it's in the short trend. So we were watching those small time frame charts like I was just showing you for the breakdown of these little bounces for the next level in the trade. We knew that we were trading a trend. I don't want to trade counter trend. I want to trade with the trend. This was this is Goldman Sachs. I think a late day, very late day. It had ran up in that surge in the market there right before the big final sell-off, and it ran about a $2 run up here from like 257 close to 259. That's when it hit that pink line I showed you on that other chart, and it rolled over and triggered 258.92 to the downside on the very small time frame. If you want to trade a counter trend but it's going into a support resistance line, that's when you want to jump over and trade this. You know, hey, I'm hitting an old high, I'm hitting an old low, I'm hitting the 50-day, I'm hitting the 200-day. There's a reason for the reversal. You can time it instead of rushing into one and letting it go back up and jerk around on you. Use our 10 factor to time that in, and that's what this was. I think I already showed this to you. That was almost a $4 run there. This was a late day run on Wynn Resorts after it just went sideways for a long time. This is not a big factor for Wynn. This is more like the 10 factor because Wynn's such a big mover. But it gave a breakout between 12:30 and 1:15, and like you see this right here, when this little box was right here, green arrow up, yellow arrow, there's a 2x box like you see here. It's saying long watch and has a price on it. So that started plotting right about here if it had broke on up. As it chopped around, it kept a level that the 2x was going to trigger at. When it got closer, it came in with a 1x as well. So it said 1x on top of the 2x, and you trade the 1x then when it's present. It gave the 1x amount to the penny, what you see right here. When this crossed that level, when it touched it, as soon as it touched it, the box disappears, the line plots on the chart with the value, and you can plot it down here as well if you want to, or you can turn that part off. It depends on what chart you got on, if you want to have it on or not. And then this can be turned off. It don't stay on your charts all the time either. And it goes and breaks this 176.93 and makes a $3 move from around just before 1 o'clock until just before 2 o'clock, about an hour there. And that's what we teach. The factor system is how many factors it's going to run when it breaks. Sometimes it'll run 4 to 6 and then give about a 4 pullback and then run 6 or 8. We've taught that in some other videos before. This was the original break. It had the momentum in the market. Another thing it had, this is my bull zone right here. The two blue ones I showed you on my factor chart, they're intact. There's momentum trying to build, and when it got on up here, it just broke on out and took off. And that's a really nice setup right on the chart. It's exactly where to trade it at. Now, that don't mean when it hits the trigger it don't pull back within the tolerance level of the system, which can be 4 factors. That's $1. This was the intraday chart on Amgen when it had been selling off. When it made that run up about $2, it chopped around here. You know it's going to break. Here's the indicators. The little box was over here telling you the price. And then when it did break, it made about a $1.50 run over the breakout price. But you don't get involved until it triggers, and that's why you see chop, 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 chop. We know what it's going to do. I know it's not going to. If it runs way up here and turns green, it's coming back. If it's too far outside, it's coming back, and we teach that. This, I know it's going to chop around, or it's going to run up a little ways. What I want to see really is to go here, back here, and instantly turn green, and you can get the whole trade. This was a shot of the Amgen way before it got all the way to the top, when it had triggered earlier, and then it kept going, as you saw in that last little segment there. We also had some breaks on ABV. We had some great trades on ABV today. This was a huge sell-off we picked up early in the morning off this news story, and it sold nice and hard, really nice and hard, like a $4 or $5 move. Then late in the afternoon, when it's chopping around, one of the traders put ABV in the room. I picked up on this chart, and we called this breakout here at 96.83. Made a really nice run up to about $2. And when it pulled back, see what I've been trying to show you? It breaks, it can give a little zigzag, it makes a run. This was a 4-factor run from $97 to 98 and some change. So that's $1.25. That's about a 5-factor run. The factor's 25 on the chart. Then it makes a 4-factor pullback. So we're up here to about 98.50. We pull back to about 97.50. It's a 4-factor pullback, exactly what we teach. Then it turns and goes again, right on the chart, right here on this price. This is a green zone. So this is a green zone retracement. Green zone retracement, GZR alert. That's the trigger price when it heads back up, 97.83. This headed on back up pretty nicely there for a little bit, and then got caught in the rollover in the market. Now, this is all going on in the trade room, just things I saw and pointed out. NVIDIA at 2 o'clock, and it had been selling. First it gave this break right up here Now this line won't be on here anymore. As I told you, it plots the line and the price. When it breaks down and heads back the other way, it moves that plot to here. It goes on the last price. When this broke down earlier, this is an example of one I'm showing you. See how deep it went? And it turned it red right at the bottom. This was actually the trigger price way down here. When it goes deep before it flips it green to red, it's going back. We teach that. Don't take it if it's that deep into the factors. And so it was actually, this is just a little 10 chart, which is just barely just for almost a scalping mode, but you use it to time things. And as it ran down, this was a big move of about $1.40, but it triggered back at 244.80. I was actually watching this for the short because it was setting up to short on another time frame, and we were watching it for a short. And I said, guys, I don't think this thing's going down. I said the plot to go long is at 244.80 on the real short term, and it broke out and ran about $1.40 off of that. I don't remember exactly how much further it kept going there. This chart right here, you notice this is at 115 when this was breaking back up. This next chart down here was something we was looking at prior to that. I'm kind of going in reverse order. This was at 115. This was this pullback. This is why I'm watching this for a short. It had already made this breakout in early at 12 o'clock. It gave a signal at $242 just after 12. That's a $4 run, 25 factor, not the little dime factor. $4 run up, monster breakout right on the chart. You see exactly what to expect. It breaks, it chops around, it's still red zone. You're waiting on it to go. It actually signaled it here, pull right back, and re-signal the same exact break again the second time. $242 was the break here. It went two double blues at the same time. That's bull zone. We love to get them breaking at the same time, and off it went. This is really my preferred trade, is to get the switch on the two blues. Out here in the column, it'll have a minus blue and a plus blue and blue out here. And when it breaks, that's going to get some momentum. This thing broke, and this was a 25 factor, so looking for a 4 to 5, 6 factor run, and it ended up running way beyond expectations before it ever pulled back. So here, when it pulled back, I'm expecting the possibility it goes down, it goes back, and it sells back off and triggers. So at the time it was here, this is why I put this chart out. It was showing a short at 245 right here. When it was down here, it was showing the short at 244.25 if it kept going. Then when it bounced, I was updating the room all along. And I'm saying, if this is setting up, if it breaks down, it's going to be a short at 245, and we were calling it around the 244.75 area. Actually going to let it pull on back because it's a big stock, and that's what watching this stock for maybe a short right here is what led us into the call right here at 244.80 that broke out for this run. And from down here, it broke back out at 244.80 on that little dimer and broke out and took off. We were watching it right there, and that was why we were watching it, because I was watching there to see if it was going to fail. So one thing can lead to a different thing, of course. Some more NVIDIAs after that was the initial sell-off in the morning, broke down at 245.50 and did the big sell-off prior to lunch. And this was a small chart, I believe, a little tenner, and it gave about a $1.50 run. Went back in hell where it was supposed to. It's using it as stops. When they start chopping sideways, it's setting up to go the other direction, and that's what we saw on another chart up there. So this is just a lot of things that were going on in the room. We were posting these all through the morning. This was a AbbVie early post at 12 when it made that break up, and we were watching that. P&M was a big breakout. Not even sure what this one was. This was this morning. This was PM, very early at 12 o'clock on this break. It had been selling for 2 or 3 days, and it gave a break at 98.31. Here it is up at $99, and I think it kept going actually a pretty long way even when the market was selling. And this was probably one of our biggest trades. It was one of the highest risk, LRCX. One of the guys pointed this out to me a few minutes before it broke, and it broke out here at 215.19, and this thing ran $3, and we got a bunch of this and almost stopped out and barely stayed in it for the biggest part of that run. There's 4 or 5 of us got that trade. Now you see this is on a 10 factor. This is timing and entry, okay? Here's the 25 factor. This was the setup, not the dimer. I want to trade the bigger numbers are going to give you the bigger runs. The 25 factor is what we were calling this on. Triggered at 216 at 1206. This little pullback right here was what you saw on that 10 chart that we're really using the timer stops on. I can get back on the 10 here. Here it is. This first little pullback, see it right about that 216 mark, that was what you saw on that other chart. And then this never turned it red, and it just kept going. $218 off of 216. That's 218.50. It's about 250, and actually went beyond that. But this was the setup we were looking at, was off the 25 chart. And this was why, because it was penetrating our lines, and I know it's setting up, and it's telling me on the chart. I got scanners that'll tell me if there's a box right here telling me I got a trend shift predicted. I can scan for that, and it's in our package that our subscribers can scan for that. They can look for that setup way before it actually triggers. Little setup I mentioned earlier, breaking, staying red, and the pullback, and then the immediate break coming back up. Easy to figure out. Last chart, got to get you out of here. This was an NC chart, breaking down on a 25 or early in the morning, gave a big shoot down real early, went back, made the retracement. Here's our retracement trigger right on the chart. It says RZR, red zone retracement. Gave the price at 87.89 to take this short, and then it just went into a big sellage. That was at 9:30. All this was just craziness right when the bell went off. And we don't try to trade the craziness, but we take the setup off the craziness. Thanks for watching our video. We'll see you tomorrow.